Hi everyone, this is Carmel with the Wealth Creation Channel, the channel where we talk about all things money with the goal of building real wealth. So today our topic is budgeting. Now, why are we going to talk about budgeting? I know a lot of you may think that budgeting is actually, something that's simple. It's like Finance 101, many people think. But a lot of times, if we look back and we're seeing that we're experiencing a lot of financial problems, the root cause of that is with improper budgeting. So, one of the first things we have to do is understand truly what a budget is. Many people think that budgeting is, let's say you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks. So, this week I'm getting paid. So let me go ahead and write down all the things I need to go ahead and pay for. I'm going to pay my money for it. If I write it down and next thing I say, I'm going to pay for X, Y, and Z, good. Therefore, I budgeted. No, I'm telling you, that is the wrong way to go about it. And that may actually be the reason why, if you're experiencing any financial difficulty, the key or the answer may be to the budget. In fact, what exactly is a budget or a proper budget? When we talk about budgeting, it's an overview of your entire expenses, your financial picture. That means that you're properly looking at all of the total income that you have coming in each and every month, and you're looking at your total expenses that you have going out each and every month. And you want to make sure that you're looking carefully at your true expenses. So that includes your lifestyles and habits. And then you want to make sure that you, with budgeting, once you have that clear picture, that clear overview, then you need to go ahead and have a sound strategy in place to be able to attack each and every one of those expenses and make sure that it comes under your income. So with that in mind, I'm going to share with you exactly how to go about creating a budget that's going to really work for anybody for your lifestyle. Okay. And I'm going to give you some helpful tips if in fact you find yourself under budget. Okay. So bear with me. This may be a little long video, a little bit longer than usual, but I promise you it's going to be well worth it. The first thing I want to show you is what everybody should be doing with their budget. You have to at least look where is your what is your total income coming in versus your total expenses going out. So if you look at this sheet that I have here, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read off some of the things that it says. I've got on the top, it says budget, and you can design that however you want. And then it says your income. You're going to basically create a line down the middle, take a plain sheet of paper. Those of you who are more technologically savvy, feel free to use any sort of technology, but I find a plain piece of paper works really well. With that in mind, so anyway, when it comes to you're going to go ahead and write budget at the top, and then you're going to go ahead and, split down the middle. So on one side, the left side, you're going to write the word income. All right. And on the right side, you're going to write the word expenses. Seems simple enough, right? So when we look at income, I'm telling you, you have to go down and write down every source of income that you have coming in. So think about your job. Of course, if you got a job, write down the income that's coming in from that. Think about child support, think about disability or Social Security or whatever it is that you've got coming in. If you've got a side hustle, say your Uber, Amazon Flex, Postmates, etc., write down your projected source of income, your average income that you make from that monthly. We're talking about monthly, not every 2 weeks, people. Monthly. All right. If you've got, business income, you have a business, and, you're making pretty consistent source of revenue, write down your income for that. If you have, let's say your income is not really that consistent with your business income, then try to write not your average, so to speak, but maybe about your lows. So your average lows that you tend to make from the business, and then put that as your income source, and etc. So any place that you're basically bringing in money, you want to make sure that you write that. And if you look at the chart, not only do I just write the dollar amount, I exactly write the source. So where is that money coming from? Okay. And that's that. Now, the second thing, you also want to make sure, one word of advice, you want to make sure that you always underestimate, don't overestimate when it comes to the income. So if you get paid $3,100 from your job, $3,107, either write that $3,107 or you just want to write 3,100. All right. Don't overestimate to 3,110. Okay. All right. Next, on the expense column, that's when you're going to write down all of the expenses. List and write down the dollar amount of all of your expenses that you have each and every month. So this is a general idea. All right. So with this in mind, but now in the expense column, you want to do the exact opposite of the income. You want to overestimate your dollar amount. So with that in mind, the first thing I've been trying to teach you guys, and I'm telling you, please, I know it may be difficult, but I learned from personal experience that it works and it is very, very necessary. Okay. So please bear with me. And if you follow this advice all throughout, then I'm quite sure it's going to help you reach your financial goals and become financially stable if that is also needed for you as well. So please, trust me, I was the queen of bad finances, period. And what I'm telling you, it's really worked for me. Okay. I know my sister, for example, she used to try to tell me about this all the time, and it just never clicked with me until it finally clicked. All right. So please hear me out. So the first thing I think you all need to make sure that you write down in your expenses is pay yourself money. All right. So I'm not going to go back into why you need to do all of that. If you need to understand that, please make sure that you go watch the video and go back through a previous post where I talk about the importance of paying yourself. Okay. But for now, if we're on the same page about that, please make sure that you assign yourself a dollar amount or percentage amount for pay yourself incomes. Now, what I recommend, and I explained this in the video, the past video, is that you have a category for pay yourself savings and pay yourself spending. All right. So the pay yourself savings, once again, is a dollar amount or percentage amount of your income that you're going to consistently save each and every time. So for budgeting purposes, we're talking about each and every month. And the pay yourself spending is basically the dollar amount or percentage amount of your income that you're going to use totally to go to you. Why is that important? I'm going to explain just the pay yourself spending now. Because of the fact that nobody wants to feel like they're working each and every day and they can't even enjoy the fruits of their labor. That's probably the number one reason why a lot of people, we all tend to mess up our budgets, because of the fact that when you're working and then you basically spend, you want to enjoy, but the problem is that we're over enjoying. We're spending much more than we actually have available, and then that's when the problems occur within the budgets. So you want to make sure that you give yourself a disciplined amount of money that you can safely spend each and every month without consequence. And that's what I call, you determine your dollar amount based on your habits, based on what you know you've got coming in, your income, and many other factors. And then whatever you think is safe and comfortable, then you have to be disciplined enough to stay within those guidelines so that you're not financially hurting yourself. Okay. So that's the pay myself spending. So if you look at this expense, the sample budget that I've given you guys, it says, what is it? You've got $200 for pay myself savings, and then you've got $200 for pay myself spending. All right. And then you have to list everything else that you're spending your money on. So credit cards, mortgage or rent, cable and internet, phones, cell phones, car notes, car insurance, car gas, student loans, children's tuition or daycare, life insurance, kids entertainment, schooling fees, sports fees, personal care items, getting your hair done, getting kids' haircuts, things of that nature, groceries, electric, and all utilities, water, gas, subscription services such as Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, gym memberships. Look at everything that you spend your money on. If you know that you're somebody who you needs to buy clothing often or whatever, technology often or whatever, for whatever the reason, or you just want to, or you do, make sure, and you do that too consistently, put that into the budget too, or better yet, make that part of your pay myself spending. All right, give yourself some limits. Anyway, think of all of your total expenses, and then you're going to write those down. So now that you've done that on each side for the income and the expenses, you now have to do the total. So for this sample, what we see is that we have $3,600 total income coming in each and every month. And then we see that we have $3,494 expenses going out each and every month. So when you look at this, this is an okay budget. Why? Because the expenses are less than the income. We have actually $106 monthly left each and every month. And so then now that acts as sort of a cushion within the budget. So this is what we call an okay budget. Would I be too happy with that kind of budget? $106 is kind of tight. Especially when we, for example, talk about this channel, our goal is to build real wealth. It may be kind of difficult to do that with $106, but definitely this is a very manageable budget and it's doable. And the point is, whatever you've got, you in the end want to see that your expenses are less than your income. So with that said and done, this is good. Now, if all budgets look like this, then we would not even need this video and there would be no purpose of us even talking about it, right? So we all know that in reality, not every budget is as smooth as this. So now let's look at the next example that I've present to you guys, where in this next example, the person did the same exact thing where they totaled all of their income and they totaled all of their expenses. But we see a huge problem. In this example, they're making $2,700 from their job and $400 from child support. So now their total monthly income is down $3,100. But the expenses are pretty much exactly the same as the last person's. So it's their expenses are $3,494. So the problem is where the other person had an overage, this person, a surplus, this person has an overage. They're actually in a hole $394. And to be honest, a lot of us, when we look back at our budgets, we've been in similar situations or are in similar situations where we are literally in a hole. The bottom line is we have more going out than we have going in. So the first thing I want to teach you guys is do not fret about that, okay? There's some things that we need to do, and that's the beauty of making this budget, this detailed overview of what our monthly finances and health looks like, picture of what our finances look like. Because once we do that, now we can strategize. So now what I need you guys to do is, now that we've got this budget in place, well, not this budget, we got our financial picture in place, we see that there's a big problem, that we're $394 in the hole each and every month, and there's absolutely no cushion in here. So with that in mind, now I'm going to share with you guys some strategies as to what to do to alleviate or remove that problem, okay? Remediate that problem. So go to the next picture. When we go to the next picture, the first strategy you want to keep in mind is that you want to now understand your needs and your wants. You want to make sure that you start to categorize every item in your expense column by needs and wants. So what I want you to do is, for every expense that for every item that you listed, you're going to write an N next to anything that's a need and a want, meaning something that you can't go out without. Not because of personal habit, but literally you need it for, your in essence your survival. That's being a little bit dramatic. We don't really need nothing but food and water and shelter for survival, but you know what I mean. All right, pretty much for our survival in 2019. All right, and then anything else that's extra is a want. Okay, so with that in mind, when we look at this list, the pay myself, savings, and the spending, if you look, I caution and urge you guys to make that a need, not a want, a need, because we talked about the importance of savings. Once again, go back to the importance of the emergency savings and the pay myself videos if you need to really understand this concept and why that's considered a need. But if you don't make it a habit to do these things, then trust me, your finances will suffer in the future, especially in the face of an emergency, which happens all the time. I'm not going to lie to anybody. If anybody thinks that you month to month you're perfectly going to be able to stay within budget all the time, that's a lie. If things crop up, that's life, and many of them are very inconvenient and can come at the worst times possible. So you once again need to have that savings in check. Okay, and you need to make it a habit to consistently do that. And especially considering, like I said, this whole channel's goal is to build real wealth. Eventually, we want to move past the point of saving and start talking about investments. And if you don't have any money, then there's no way that you can invest. So you have to build up these habits and now, okay? We have to build up these habits now. So make those needs. Then you go back through all of the other items. So, of course, credit cards is a need. If you look with the cable and the internet, I know many people package them. Some people still got home phones. I don't know who, but some people still have home phones. All right. But, for this example, I put the cable as a want, but the internet as a need. And definitely many people, need the internet to function for jobs, school, just life, but cable, not really. All right, very convenient. Everybody has it pretty much, but is it really a need? All right, so I put a one. Utilities are needs, of course. Cell phones today, many people will consider them a need. So do I. But a few years ago, they weren't a need. I remember when my son was born, I didn't even have a cell phone. So, and we got around just fine. But today, I need my cell phone. All right, so car notes, is a need. We need our cars. Insurance is a need. Little interest. In fact, my sister, who was in insurance for forever, informed to me one of the reasons why, for example, car insurance is so high, for example, in the city of Philadelphia, is simply because many people are paying for the insurance of people who don't have insurance. There's too many people driving around in the city with no insurance and car insurance, and that's one of the reasons why they hitting and running and whatnot. You never want to find yourself in that position. Never. You want to make sure that you have your car insurance, because it's the law, and God forbid if you're ever involved in any sort of accident and you're caught, you will be in some serious trouble. So please, it's a need, okay? And budget for it, okay? Can't have a fancy car, you can't pay. And this is not talking down. Trust me, we've all been there, done that. But I'm telling you, you got to make sure that you have your car insurance, okay? That's a need. Anyway, car gas is a need. You got to get around, etc. So just look through everything, see what the needs are, all right? Notice I put entertainment is a want, haircut is a want, groceries is a need, Netflix is a want, gym is a want, things like that. So what do you do? Why do we categorize? Once you categorize all of these things, then what do? You decide which wants, start with the wants. Which wants are you willing to give up? All right, to help you to close that hole. So for example, we said that we were $394 in the hole. So we need to find a way to save $394. Can I find $394 in my budget that I'm willing to give up? Let me start with the wants, since they're wants. I don't really need them. So looking at my budget, I see that there's two things I'm willing to give up. One, is cable. All right. Bottom line, I don't think I need the cable. Everybody, I barely watch the TV. A lot of stuff, there's a lot of more cheaper, affordable options like the Netflix or whatever. And so, and then, with that in mind, TV is not that great for me anyway. So with that in mind, I said, yeah, let me cut the cable. So now when I did that, I decided to remove, I remove $80. Woo! Now, just keep in mind, in real life, the cell phone, these companies think they're slick, especially companies like Comcast. When you have these bundled up services, you get rid of one, you turn around and get truly like a $20 savings or whatever else. But for this example, I'm just saying it's an $80 savings. Woo! I removed the cable. All right. And so now, with that in mind, now I just have internet. And then, but also keep in mind that I said I was going to keep my Netflix because I do want some form of entertainment, just a cheaper form. Got it? All right. The second thing I was willing to get rid of is a gym membership. Why? Because I barely use it. And the next thing I said, and I got equipment at home that I can use. So let me go ahead and do that. And more importantly, I've got my body weight. That's weight that I can carry around with me each and every time whenever I want to exercise. So I'm willing to go ahead and save money with the gym membership. So now cross that out my budget. If you look at it, I crossed out the gym and I crossed out the cable. With that in mind, now I have the $394 in the hole. I remove the $80 and the $30, which equals $110 a month saving. Good, I'm making progress, but crap, I'm still in the hole $284. So my new expense total is $3,384. So I'm making some progress, but still not enough. Remember, budgeting is all about strategizing. So now I got to take my budgeting measures a little bit more extreme. So let's move on to the next example. So the next thing that you need to do after that is you need to go ahead and categorize your needs versus, not needs versus wants, sorry. Your fixed versus variable expenses. This is when you go back to your budget and you basically now write down to your expenses. And then now you're going to go ahead and you write F next to all of your fixed expenses and a V next to all of your variable expenses. So let me explain what fixed and variable expenses are. A fixed expense is basically each and every month you're going to pay the same dollar amount for use for that service or that product or whatever for that item, no matter how much or how little you use. Okay. And a variable expense is basically when you're not. You basically have more control as to how much you're going to pay. So with that in mind, meaning you'll pay more for more usage, less for less usage. So with that in mind, you go back through your items, your expense items, and then you're going to go ahead and put an F or a V next to it. So if you look at the picture, what I did was go ahead and write the F or the V next to each item. You see that when we also did the needs versus the wants, it's also there now. And then what happened was that I, once again, what am I trying to say? I was able to go ahead and see what my fixed and variable expenses are. Why do you do that? The variable, because you have some control over usage and therefore the cost, these are the items then you want to go look through and see if there's any way that you can go ahead and reduce some of the costs of these items. If it's possible for you and your household, you determine that. So when looking at that, I said, oh my gosh, I spend a little too much on electric. Now, keep in mind, some of you may say, what? How's she spending $40 on gas? Then this is just an example. It's not a real budget. These are all examples. But keep in mind, for those who live in areas where, the seasons, really change drastically, in colder months, the gas may go up more, and then in hotter months the electric may go up more for the air conditioning, and they're going to switch. And so with that in mind, you can simply take the cost from one and allocate to the other in the change of the seasons. So that's how come you see the fluctuation there. All right, but it should average out pretty much. So anyway, when doing this, I said, you know what? I spend too much when it comes to electricity and gas. So with that in mind, with my electric, which would apply to gas in the colder months, what I decided is that I'm going to go ahead and start putting my thermostat up or down by 1 degree. Simple, you know. And a lot of times they say that when you change the thermostat up or down, even by 1 degree, that amounts to huge savings in your gas or electric bill. So in the warmer months, if you put the thermostat up 1 degree, so instead of having the AC kick on at 73, you have it kick on at 74. That'll save you a lot more money. Than same thing with gas. Instead of having the heat kick on, you know, at 71, you have it kick on at 70. I think I said that right. The point is that will save you a lot of money. No, 72. All right, 72. Then with that in mind, then that's going to help save you a lot of money. So by doing that, just 1 degree, I said I'm going to save $30. I see that I save $30 a month. All right, that's a strategy. All right, then I also look back at my expenses, and I looked at my variable expenses. I said, okay, I need to go ahead and make another cut because I was still $284 in the hole by now. So $30 ain't cutting it. So I said, okay, what else can I realistically give up then, or I'm willing to give up? So then I look and I'm like, okay, groceries. I've got $300 in groceries. Maybe we'll do $250. I don't foresee $50 hurting me and my family as much. So with that in mind, I said, okay, I'm going to take out $50, but no more than that. And then, so now I'm up to $80. So making better progress, but I'm still $284 in the hole. So that's, I'm $284 in the hole. So got to do a little bit more. So as I'm looking, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and do pay myself. Now I'm getting extreme. All right. So now, why do I say that? Remember, I told you, pay myself. I said you want to be disciplined and make it as a bill that you're going to pay to yourself each and every month. So you don't want to vary or change from that expense each and every time you receive a source of income at all, period. But one thing I do want to make sure that I stress to you guys is that you have to make it at a number that's going to be reasonable for you. All right. So you don't want to go ahead and say, I'm going to pay myself $500, just because it sounds good and you're being all aggressive. And then when you're looking at your budget, you have to keep dipping into your savings every time because you don't have realistically a number that's really doable for you. So what this is showing me is that maybe realistically, I can't afford to pay myself yet. All right. The $200 like I originally wanted a month. So maybe I have to realistically now commit to paying myself only $150 each and every month. And don't use the word only, to be honest, because that's any savings that you make is a great thing. OK, so I'm going to commit to now, instead of 200 like I originally intended to, I'm just going to commit to 150 each and every month. I'm still saving, but that's it. And if for those of you who are asking, why did I take it out the pay myself savings out of the pay myself spending? You have to keep in mind normal human behavior. All right. We're all human. We're going to spend. All right. We are going to spend. So to just say, OK, well, I'm just going to go ahead and spend less. That's a great, a great thing to do. But in reality, many people are not just going to go ahead and do that cold turkey. You want to go ahead and give yourself a little bit of room to spend and enjoy the money that you worked hard for. All right. And then with that in mind, but give yourself some constraints too. And knowing that if I were to go ahead and cut that amount, then what happens is, once again, I now risk overspending, because I know that amount is not going to be a comfortable amount to allow me to spend what I really need to or want to spend, during any given time period, or to keep up with mine and my family's lifestyle habits. So with that in mind, I find the risk to the savings cutting the savings is more beneficial than taking out of the spending, at least for now. Okay. Only because it's really not an egregious amount that I'm spending a month. Okay. With that in mind, now that I did that, I saved $130. Once again, from the $30 from the savings, from the thermostat, the groceries, $50, and to pay myself $50. That's now a savings of $130. So that's awesome. I was able to now reduce that hole from $284 to $154. So I'm making great progress. But what do I still do if I'm in that situation? This is when we go on to the next step, which is, as you can see, we're getting a little bit more extreme every time we go. Now we have to look at our fixed expenses, and we have to look into getting some modifications. This is when we're going to have to be put on our big, big girl and big boy. I don't know what this to say, but we have to be adults about it. And we're going to actually have to go ahead and contact some people that we owe, and see if there's any way we can make any modifications to some of our fixed expenses. This may be, contacting the gas company or the electric company and see if you qualify for some income sort of based payment plan that's more affordable to you. This may be calling the student loan companies and seeing if you can qualify for an income based repayment plan, something that's going to be a little bit more affordable to you. I do have a disclaimer about student loans, though you want to be very careful about that, because student loans are really designed to be paid off. When you look at the amount that they have you paid each and every month, they're initially designed for them to be paid off within 10 years. And the problem is that the way that they market student loans, they go around telling you, oh, you can qualify for deferment, you can qualify for forbearance, which is actually okay. You can take the forbearance, but do not take a deferment, because all they do is tack on the interest in the end. Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, you're this. You can qualify for X, Y, and Z programs. Trust me, I've learned all of this. It's not pretty. All right. And then what eventually happens is, oh, you're going through a tough time. No problem. Well, we'll go ahead and reduce your payment, your monthly payment by X, Y, and Z. So in the end, all of that is just allowing the interest to still quietly yet powerfully accumulate in the background. And now you've taken your 10-year payment to easily what could be a 30-year payment. And it's not pretty. One of the saddest things I heard, I remember, unfortunately, I've actually heard as an older person who basically, she was literally a senior citizen. She was sitting down crying on her phone about how she don't know what to do. She hates that she has to keep working to keep making student loan payments. And I just found that to be so sad. So student loans really can and are very problematic for many. So I just want to give that little disclaimer out there. But definitely, if you need that little break just to get your finances in order and help you to at least stay ahead, you definitely want to use it. But then I'll caution you too to eventually go back into your budget and your plans, because it's all about strategizing and seeing how you can find a way to quickly eventually get them back to normal or get them paid off, get them done, period. All right. So I just want to say that. But calling up the student loan people, going back and seeing, is there anything else that you definitely want to eliminate? And so when I looked, I said, you know what? There's some things that I'm going to go ahead and do. I said, okay, I'm called the student loan company, and they said, okay, based on your income, we can go ahead and agree to modify your payments to the $150 savings. Woohoo! Which means you only have to pay $150 a month. If I was originally paying $300, I only have to pay $150 now. Woohoo! That means now I was in the hole $154. Now I'm saving $150 from the student loans per month. Now that means I'm only $4 in the hole. So now I look back at my budget. I'm like, you know what? Now I can take out of my pay myself spending, because instead of now having $200 a month to spend, which is roughly $50 a week to spend, now I've got, $49 a week. That's not going to kill me. And so now I've saved the $154. This is what we call a balanced budget. Okay. So now I've got a blueprint. So now that I'm looking at my new budget, I want to go ahead and write down my new monthly budget. And so that means now I've got my pay myself is $150. My pay myself spending is $196. Of course, divide that by 4 or 5 for the 5 week in a month periods. But the credit cards, the internet, no more cable, no more gym, my mortgage, my water. I've got all my stuff planned out, and I know dollar amount what it should equal, and I know clearly that I have $3,100 coming in each month and $3,100 coming out each month. This is what we call a balanced budget. And this is exactly what you want to go through to get ahead in life. Now, to stay on track of your finances. And then this is what we mean. This is our blueprint. Each and every month, we know that this is what we're going to have to do. Now, a few things I just want to stress to you guys that you have to keep in mind when making a budget, that you have to understand, and I already expressed how student loan modifications, for example, is a bad thing. So please keep that in mind and make plans and other strategies to eventually get those things paid off. My recommendation. You'll thank me later. All right. But anyway, next is, but keep in mind, and realistically, and I've also been there too, it's very difficult when you're living so what's the word? In essence, still paycheck to paycheck. That even though the budget is balanced, it's still very, very tight. And so one of the things that would concern me is just having room for more. What about vacations? I don't have vacations on here. What about Christmas and birthdays and school shopping and all those other things that come in mind? So one of the things that you want to make sure that you do is to try budgeting or picking up extra income for possible threats to your budget. What do I mean? We already have the emergency savings that we're through the Pay Myself savings that's going on. And then later on, you can use that for investing once your emergency savings is built up. But one of the other things I want to stress to you is that what you may want to also try to do is finding clever ways to budget for these things. So, for example, if you know Christmas time is coming up and every year you go into debt trying to buy Christmas gifts, or you can't buy Christmas gifts, maybe if you can find a way to pull $50 free money from some of your savings. So every time you get spend a little less, you take that money out automatically and put it to a savings account and let it trickle in, so that by the time Christmas time comes along, you have more money to spend on Christmas gifts. If you see a little toy or item or whatever on sale anytime throughout the year, then maybe you think it's cute or perfect for someone that you're planning on getting a gift for, in your family or friends. Maybe you can pick it up anytime throughout the year when you see it's cheap and very much so on sale, and use it as part of your pay myself spending money. So that could be a good strategy. I also knew, for example, someone who, when it came to school supplies, she would buy little by little school supplies all throughout the year. So by the time, September would come around, her son would have the school supplies that he need without a dent to her pockets. So all of these are great strategies to look in mind. So if you love to travel, I think traveling is the spice of life. Take out a little bit of money each and every month to go ahead and from even your Pay Myself, use some of the savings apps that we talked about that can automatically take out some money each and every month to help cover or each and every pay, or sometimes each and every day, a little bit from you each and every day. And that money can be used to go towards your traveling expenses. Also, you want to definitely maybe consider getting another source of or stream of income. So, it may require taking on another job. So now that you've got your budget, you got $3,100 coming in, $3,100 coming out. Hey, maybe I'll go ahead and get me another job. I'm going to do Amazon Flex for 10 hours, Uber for 10 hours, Postmates, whatever. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and, sell some candles on Shopify. Maybe there's so many things that you can do, especially this day and age, to pick up a few extra hours. Maybe I'm going to tutor kids on the side for 10 hours a week. And then what's the beauty of that is when you do that, then now that's extra money that's coming in that you can use towards investing, quickly building up your emergency savings. You can use it for vacations. You can use it for birthday parties and, holidays. You can use it for whatever you determine because you know that all of your budget, your basic budget, is taken care of. So an extra job or source of income may be a great idea for a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. I understand, though, completely understand, too, especially if you're very limited on time, especially you're a single mom, maybe another job, or you have really, really young children who really, really need you at that time. Maybe another job may not be the solution for you. But if it is, I seriously encourage you to look into that. All right, that can help you to actually get ahead. The next thing I want you to keep in mind with your budget, make sure that you make beefing up your emergency savings a priority. Okay, that has to come first. Why? Because once again, if a possible dent were to come in your budget, a true threat were to come to your budget, at least you've got something that you can go into to help you to prevent overages of any sort. And help you to stay on track. And then remember, when in emergency savings, don't just use from it. You want to make sure that you use and replenish as necessary, okay? But emergency savings definitely will save you. I'm telling you, that's what they're for. All right. The next thing I want to stress to you guys is use windfalls. All right. What exactly is a windfall? Basically, when you get a big one-time sort of like payment from somewhere. All right. So use windfalls like bonus checks, income tax refunds, which one day I'll talk to you why income tax refunds technically is not a good thing. OK, but nonetheless, income tax refunds, if you have them, well, I'll tell you quickly. It just means that you've lent too much money to the government and they haven't given you back any interest on the money that you lent to them over time when you could have been using that money to help you in your situation all throughout the year. Extra money to save, extra money to invest and make more money off of, etc. So that's the gist of it. But income tax refunds, if you're getting them, bonuses, if you have them, raises. All right. So any of these extra money that you really weren't anticipating, make it a habit to use them wisely. OK, so if I know that, I only got $2,000 in my emergency savings and then I got an income tax refund of, $2,000, go ahead and put, $1,000 of that money into my income tax refund, into my emergency savings. If I know that I'm getting a pay raise, a 3% pay raise, still keep my well, I'll talk about that next. But, use that wisely, okay? I'll talk about that next. I don't want to say that now. And then if I get a bonus, then, use those maybe towards, my vacation if I wanted to. When I was teaching, every time for example, I used to do like the yearbook, senior advisor, etc. And whenever I get those get paid from that, I'd always put in my hours at one time so that I can get one nice big check. And then whenever I get paid for that, I purposely use that money for my vacations, for my summertime fun and my vacations. And so with that in mind, you want to make sure that you plan for that. When I got that money, that's, how I funded my vacations because I was able to strategize. The next thing I want to stress is avoid the trap of increasing expenses each time your income increases. So imagine when I first started teaching, I'll use this example again, I was making $34,000. And then by the time I was done, I think I was close to like 84. All right. So that was a huge difference in income, about $50,000. Yet, did I feel $50,000 richer during that time? Nope. And why not? Because unfortunately, I fell for the trap. Every time my income increased, what happened? My expenses increased. Oh, all of a sudden I needed a new car. Oh, all of a sudden I needed a new house. Oh, all of a sudden I needed, et cetera, et cetera. And so all of a sudden, all my expenses increases. You know, you need the new phone, you need the new this, oh, the kids need that. And so what eventually happens is you don't even notice it. How of course, if I was surviving on $34,000, of course I could survive on $34,000 with an $84,000 salary. That's what people don't understand. If you were surviving on one salary, right, when you were making a whole lot less, unless you're transitioning, and that's, I guess, to be fair, I have to do that. I was transitioning from literally a child almost to an adult, you know, so I had to have my own place eventually, you know, can't stay with mom and dad forever, etc. But, you know, unless you're making that transition, the point is, even in your adult life, you're going to notice where you're going to have these salary increases and these whatever else. And you want to make sure that you try not to fall for the trap of constantly increasing your expenses. So you don't need to switch up the homes all the time. There's a little interesting fact that the average millionaire actually lived in their home for over 20 years. All right. But you've got middle class people who are switching up their homes all the time. They're not staying in their homes 20 years. They make a little bit more money. Now we can afford a better home. We can afford a better this. We can afford. Keep in mind these things. All right. People are leasing cars. I personally hate the idea of leasing cars. Why would I want to keep paying somebody forever to own a car? You know, when I can go ahead and pay for it once and it's mine. I can drive it till the wheels fall off. The average millionaire, once again, drive their cars for at least 10 years. All right. There's some people who drive their cars even longer. Warren Buffett, he's driven his car for over 20 years. OK, so and Toyotas, for example, are very good cars and can last that long. So with that in mind, just something to keep in mind. You don't need to always do that. And this is not me talking down. This is literally me speaking from experience. All right. From experience and just some of the things that I've learned over time. So avoid the trap, you know, of always having to increase your expenses every time you increase your income. And then what happens is if you do that, then when we get into investing, you guys are going to learn that you can definitely use that money to invest more. You can use that money to grow for you and build real wealth. You can use that money to build real experiences for you and your family instead of just accumulating stuff. All right. I can't tell you the idea of just accumulating stuff, how much, you know, in the end, you come to realize that half the stuff you got really just, it's not worth it. Wasn't worth it in the end. All right. And then the last thing I want to stress is to the power of saying no. Oftentimes, in the older we get, we realize that we're constantly in a fight. People are fighting for our time. People are fighting for our attention. People are fighting for our money and our resources, etc. And you have to understand that you have to put limits on all of that yourself. And so when it comes to money, you have to understand that not everything you can do is, and not at this moment. If something is really a priority for you or a want for you, then what you have to do, we learning from budget, it's all about planning and strategizing, making a strategy as to how you to make what you want to happen or need to have happen. So if you want a budget, if you want a vacation, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you like nice clothes and nice things, there's absolutely nothing wrong for that. You just have to make sure that you properly budget and account for that. And if you see that there's a problem in obtaining it, then make a strategy for it. And then sometimes you just have to be the big boy, big girl, and just say, no, there's just some things I cannot do at this moment. But if it's really important to you, you'll find a way to make it happen eventually and responsibly. Okay. So Kevin Hart has a funny video where he talks about, he say, but the way my budget's set up, and every time somebody asks him to do something, yeah, but the way my budget's set up, no. But the way my budget's set up, no. And so with that in mind, you have to learn sometimes to say, no, I just can't do that. You know, does a kid really need a big all-out extravagant birthday party when they'll be happy with some cake and ice creams and going to Chuck E. Cheese and whatever else? These are the things just to think about, you know? You do what you can do when you comfortably can do it, but don't kill yourself to make some things happen, okay? It's important to say no. Put boundaries on yourself and on others, all right, financially. With that said and done, I hope that this has helped you and giving you some real life strategies as to how to make a sound budget for you and your household, and how to basically learn that with a budget, you can make it to fit any of your family's needs, your individual needs. Budgets are not meant to constrain you. They actually help to free you. You know, the more you understand what your financial picture looks like, it puts you in a position to basically plan around that, and also puts you in a position to plan and strategize how you're going to get to your future goals. And so you can only do that once you exactly know where you are right now. And so one of the things I just want to make sure that you stress to you, a budget is only as good as you executing it, as you sticking to you and carrying it out each and every month. So once you've got your solid blueprint in mind, tack it up, put it around your house, somewhere visible, to let you and other members of your household know that this is where each and every dollar of your money is going to each and every month. This is what you've got coming in, this is what you've got going out, so that others can understand why it's important to be on the same page. And then stick to it. And then if you see that there's a problem, make a plan. If you're married or with a significant other or whatever, even with children, feel free to include them in the plans. It gets them wise and educated as they're younger. And so with it, make a plan as to how we can go ahead and reach other goals in the future, you know? So if student loans, hurrying up and pay them back, what can we do? Second job, hurry up to use that to pay towards the student loans. Vacationing is a priority. What can we do? Hey, each time we get paid, we're going to put any income we receive, we're going to put aside $5, $10, whatever. Whatever it is, you make it up, okay? So if that's the end, and soon I'm going to share with you a calendar that you can actually use, a budget calendar, just to help you stay on track of your bills and your expenses. So then that way, and your due dates. So then that way you know exactly which paycheck should each expense or bill be paid with, and then that's going to help you to avoid overdraft fees and late fees, and help keep your credit good, or help you to build credit if that's the case as well. Okay. In the end, this is Carmel with the Wealth Creation Channel. If you found this video extremely helpful, please, I encourage you to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. And lastly, share the video with someone else that you want to see win. Okay? With that said and done, have a nice day.